How we doing, guys? Thank you so much to all of the positive comments I've been reading on this post for Steve. I mean, this is Steve's turntable here. Obviously, it's myself that's completed the work, so it's Jay here from Just Technics. I thought I'd just do a brief video of what's been completed and then put my own 2p into a couple of comments that I've read this morning. I couldn't believe the amount of comments and likes, and just again, thank you ever so much. Right, so this is obviously wrapped in 3M carbon fibre. We'll go into that in more detail in a second. Replicated graphics that I've obviously redesigned and popped on myself, as I do with everything. LEDs have all been replaced with nice output of blue. SMD pop-up lighting, which I build myself. Pitch, 33, 45, new tactile switches as well. And strobe lighting, all in blue. That flicker you see is the camera, by the way, before anyone starts going, oh, why's the strobe blinking? It's not, it's the camera. So the output has been changed, the resistance. So we've now got a lower output, so it's not going to blind you. No sunglasses required, as you can see. Super duper. Service on the board, diodes, oscillator crystal, various resistors were needed, a couple of caps. It's good to go. New thermal paste. Everything's calibrated exactly as it should be. New pitch slider unit, new undershader cloth, undershader cloth, new pitch felt, machine polished plastic knob on top of the pitch, new pitch trim, matching wrap for the trim, which does actually line up perfectly. It's just the angle you see it from. Machine polished tube, socket, deep clean pins, central section rebuilt, bearings are spot on this deck. Base assembly, very bottom base plate, that's been vinyl wrapped as well, believe it or not. Probably never would have noticed that if I hadn't told you. It's a vinyl wrapped base in a matte / satin style 3M vinyl wrap. Gives you an idea of how long I've been wrapping for, because that's not, trust me, that's not something you want to just take on yourself. It takes a long time to master getting things into curvatures like this and learning what the best adhesive is to put it down as well. Yeah, new power cable, new audio cables. It's a completely different animal to how this turntable was when Steve dropped it off. I think he had it in storage for quite a while. He's got two slip mats on here as well. So we've got a black with white graphics in flip, and then white with blue graphics. I just thought it looked nice because we've got white with blue, but either way, it's got two. The dodgy looking elastic band you see on there's a few on there just to help stop the arm from moving around when he's got it back in his car. So obviously if the actual lever lock does open up, the arm will swing back into its original place. Some people use fabric ties, some people use fabric cable ties around them, or tape. The idea is to use something that's got a low tack if you are going to tape them down, to send them to anybody, because otherwise if it's too high, they try to take things off. 9 times out of 10, it's just an absolute pain to remove unless you use a lot of degreaser. It's just one of those things. So it's better to be safe than sorry, though. So it's entirely up to you what you do. Platter's all been machine polished and hand polished further as well. The platter top has been vinyl wrapped. That was covered in corrosion. So was the plinth. And this is the end result of the work. So a couple of things I want to point out. I've seen a couple of comments on here, one regarding vinyl wrap, saying that vinyl wrap looks cheap, and also people talking about hydro dipping. Now, this is my input on this. Now, I've been working directly with 3M vinyl for just over, well, about 10, 11 years. Okay, so I've wrapped all things from turntables to motorbikes. If you follow my Facebook page, you know I'm a massive motorbike fan. I track them as well, take them on track. So it's my thing. As you can imagine, if you crash your bike, or if you scuff your fairings, or if you want to change the look of your bike, you change the wrap. It's cheaper, it's easier, and it's a good, durable material as well. So 3M backing vinyl, be it 3M backed vinyl, has an air release property on it. There's a lot of people that sell air release vinyl, but 3M is the daddy of all of them. Don't believe what anyone else tells you. You've got 3M and Avery Dennison, very similar, but 3M is just a much better air release property, adhesive, etc. Now, this isn't a template, guys. I haven't just got a sheet of vinyl, put it into a vinyl cutter, and it's cut round everything for me. I've never done this with a single turntable that I've ever wrapped or sold and customized. This is a sheet of vinyl that I've wrapped over the top of a plinth once the plinth has been prepped, smoothened down, all the corrosion rusted, treated so the rust doesn't come back, and also adhesive promoter going around the edges as well. Very, very important. No heat bending. If you heat bend with this sort of wrap, you'll start to get, the lines won't be straight for the weave. You'll start to find them, depending on how you pull the vinyl, once heat's been applied, they'll start to warp. Very, very important that you do not do this with this style of wrap. So, and there's no need to do it either, because of this style, and because of the thickness and the texture of this wrap. You can do this in block form, and there's no heat required to get the initial installation completed on something like this. Okay, it was never designed to be heat bent and wrapped with this style of automotive vinyl, because you'll find this on Ferraris, Lambos, Porsches. It's huge everywhere. All the top installers use this exact brand and model of wrap on cars, on anything. Okay, but for automotive use, you're not going to find them sitting there with a heat gun and then bending it around a solid block. I've seen this quite a few times before, where I've had turntables come through my door that I've been asked to re-wrap, and there are people that can back me up probably on this page, where they've heated them down so much that they bend the edges, the colour starts to sheen, get like a sheen and a glaze over the edges where it's too far down, and after periods of time where they bend them down, you can see the vinyl trying to pull back up, because it's very, very important that you don't just pull it straight down. There's a particular way, if you are going to heat vinyl, to know the orientation of where you pull it, because the idea is, if you think of it like a bonnet on a car, because you've got heat underneath, you don't just cut it straight round to the edge on a bonnet. You'd have it underneath slightly, but you want it in such a way that once it's stuck down and in its position, the heat from the engine isn't going to hit the vinyl and start to open the vinyl and pull it back up and start to wrinkle the edges. Now, you do get heat on this as well, bearing in mind, but nothing to the extent of what a car's going to be. So you're not really going to get that. But I've had this quite a few times where people just do not use adhesive promoters on anything. Probably because it costs a bloody fortune, is the truth. Because it really does, trust me. I mean, especially buying the 3M gear like I do, it is not cheap. But you have to use the right vinyl, the right adhesive promotion tools, the right blades. I mean, I use surgical blades. I've got a direct account with Swan Morton. They're surgical blades. If you cut yourself with one of them, you are in A&E. Trust me, I know. You know, it's an art form in itself, wrapping these turntables, especially a plinth like this. They're not just a solid block. They have the edges going across with the lips, as you can see. You've got to be extremely careful. Now, obviously, with regards to hydro dipping versus vinyl. Now, vinyl, in my opinion, how can you say that looks cheap? I'm only giving you my opinion. How can you say that vinyl wrap looks cheap? Like I've just said, 3M branded vinyl is used all over the world, and just about any car you probably ever imagine. If people have wrapped Ferraris in this, I mean Lamborghinis, in all different aspects of colours, you know, different patterns and colourways, there is nothing wrong with 3M vinyl. It's extremely durable. And it's, what would you rather have? Something that if someone decide to key your car and scratch across it, would you rather have the panel resprayed and cost you a fortune? Or someone like myself go over the side of it with a heat gun and watch all the scratches, depending on how deep they are, just lift up and go away? And it's also going to be cheaper to rewrap the side that's scratched, right? So that's one pro in this book. Now, I've had turntables come through my door over the last 10 years that have been gigged. Okay, they've been physically in and out of flight cases, gigged for a very, very long time. And the only thing you'll see is scratches over the tops. Now, they asked me to rewrap them for them in a different colour, because usually they find something else that they're going to want, which is absolutely fine. But after they've gone and I've taken everything apart, the first thing I do is heat the area with the scratches. And you call the customer and say, right, the scratches have gone. I'll replace the graphics. Do you want me to do that? Or do you still want to go for a new wrap? They still want to go for a new wrap, it's fine. But it is extremely durable. Yes, if you hit it hard enough, you're going to rip the wrap. There's nothing that can stop that. But that's the same with anything that you're either going to wrap or spray. But I'd rather have a wrap rip than paint chip, okay, and trying to match the paint. Because you have to, depending on what you also go for, 9 times out of 10, touch-up paints are not the best idea. So vinyl wrapping is a much better option. But it is extremely durable, guaranteed for 5 to 7 years with 3M. And if it's on a turntable, I mean, let's be honest, 5 to 7 years is an external guarantee on motors. That's for vehicles, guys. So on a turntable, There is no reason why it will not outlast you. Okay, as long as you look after them. Careful taking them in and out. You know, of your flight cases, boxes, etc., in flush fitted stands. There is no way why this won't stay like this for a very, very long time. Hydro dipping carbon, in my honest opinion, is the worst thing you can do. Because if you look at this, it's textured. Okay. Now, I ride bikes, like I've probably already explained. And this is the closest you are going to find to a twill vinyl from 3M, actually from 3M, that looks the real deal. And it looks great. It does look real. Now, I'm a bit of a stiffler when it comes to vinyl, when it comes to carbon fiber. With me, if it's not real carbon, I'm not happy. So if I was going to do this for myself, I'd probably end up making a template and building my own carbon plate over the top of the plinth. That's probably something I will do at some point. And most people know when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So don't be surprised if you see this in the future in real carbon fiber. It's like a cover on the top. But yeah, I like this wrap. I do like this. And at the end of the day, it's a turntable, right? It's not, it's not going on a race car. It's not going on a race bike. If you like carbon fiber, this is the one that you go for. Now, if you're going for hydro dip versions of this, if you imagine you want to line up the blocks on the weave and line up everything that goes in line. So when you put your graphics down, everything with the graphics goes in line with the edge here, as you can see. The blocks are all in line, all over, like I've already explained. If you can't do that with hydro dip, the orientation of where you put it in is very important. You cut the sheet out, you put it in a tank, spray your solution over the top, make sure the tank's at the right temperature, and you see them on videos where they slowly submerge the item that they're going to be, hydro dipping into the solution. Well, how can they see where everything is lining up if the item's the other way round, face down, going into the material? There's no way that you can do it. The only way that you can do that is by spending hundreds of thousands of pounds and buying a machine that drags it slowly and drops it into the tank, and making sure that you got a jig made specifically for just the plinth for what you're going to be wrapping, with obviously excess to the edges. So when it goes down, it's going to then pull the material inwards. So it then covers the entire unit. But even then, it's going to be very difficult to line up the lines. And what you'll also find is a lot of these guys with hydro dipping, you'll find that you'll have, give them 2 turntables or 3 decks or whatever you've got. You'll have one going like this. You'll have another one going like that, where the weave goes the other way. Because they won't just go, right, we've run out of space on this now. We can do one in this orientation. They've got to cut a new roll. They'd rather use whatever they've got left over. And I've seen this so many times before, where they have one in one weave orientation and another going the other direction. And in my opinion, that looks terrible. Plus, it doesn't look real. It does not look real, because, like I say, this is textured. It gives the appearance of real carbon fibre. It's as close as you're going to get this. I've wrapped this with carbon fibre parts to cover up small blemishes and things on my mild race bikes. There is nothing wrong with this whatsoever. You're using a hydro dip version as well. You need to bear in mind it's not textured. It's a print. It's just a print that you're laying down in a tank. So this textured look that you're going to have, it's just a printed carbon look with loads of blocks. It just doesn't look right. Doesn't matter how much 2K lacquer you apply on the top, how much you smooth it off. It is never going to be the same as this. So my end conclusion with this, guys, I've done this before with hydro dip, so trust me, I know. This is the better option. It's more durable. If you scratch, dent or anything on hydro dip, depending on the style that you have, whether it's brushed, graffiti, graphic, camo, whatever you go for, if you chip them, you got to do it all over again. You got to do the whole thing again with wrap, heat, lift it off, clean the adhesive, rewrap. Quicker, simpler job, and not very expensive. And there we go. Thanks for watching, guys, and thank you for all your comments.